What's up guys, welcome back. My name is Charles, mXrevival, mXrevival.com, and today I have a tire review for you guys, and more specifically the Tusk brand tires from Rocky Mountain. I installed these on my Chinese SSR Motorsports SR300 and went out and hit the trails. So today we're going to talk about the price, we'll talk about where, did they install easy, and so on. And if you like what you hear, these are now available on my website, mXrevival.com. I have a bunch of exclusive photos of these on the bike and a bunch of different tire combinations. So go ahead and check those out when you have some free time. The link is below. Man, I got to test these tires out in the beautiful Danskin Mountains in Idaho. I had never been there before. Talk about massive obstacles that make you feel small. This place was absolutely gorgeous. It had rained the entire day before. The dirt was flawless. It was so sticky. I also got to ride with a bunch of new guys I hadn't met yet, all of which were on Japanese and Austrian machines while I was out on old China. And I'll tell you guys, man, China hung really tough. We went through some really rocky stuff. We did some creek crossings, some whipped out downhill, some single track, and that bike hung in there, let me tell you. And I've been doing this funny thing when people ask me what kind of bike it is. I just tell them it's a 40th anniversary special edition Honda. They typically just look at me a little funny and they can't believe it's a Chinese bike. And so needless to say, everyone was shocked at the places this bike went. And I definitely owe you guys a Danskin Mountains riding video. It was absolutely gorgeous. About 30 minutes or so into the ride, I hit my GoPro on my handlebars, didn't feel the camera fall off. It landed in the grass and proceeded to record the sky for another 40 minutes while I was finishing up a 4-hour ride. And so the whole time I thought I was getting gold for you guys. I was literally just getting clouds. So bummed on that. So these Tusk tires, how did they do? A lot of times when you pick up a budget tire, you can expect them to either not really work very well or wear out really quickly. And while we're on the topic of price, this set of tires, front and rear, is only $120, which is insane because a 120 rear Dunlop by itself costs $120, and that is just an insane value right off the bat. Another thing that happens a lot of the time when you pick up a budget tire is that the width or the size or profile isn't really what they say it is. Like for example, if you picked up a 120, you get it. Sometimes it's a little less than a 110. They're cheating you on the rubber a little bit. And so for example, I am using a 120 rear Tusk tire in this video, which is massive compared to the stock 100 wide tire on the SSR when you get it. I call that tire the pie cutter. But this Tusk tire is actually a pretty true to life 120. I'd say it might be just a little bit, just a tiny bit smaller than like a Dunlop 120. And then of course, as I mentioned, it is absolutely massive compared to the stock 100 wide tire that the SSR comes with. And so needless to say, the traction in comparison is just off the charts. Now moving on to the front tire, I'm using what Tusk calls a fat tire, which is basically a 90 profile, 90-100, 90 is the height, versus an 80-100, 80 again being the height on like a standard motocross tire. And this fat tire made trail riding incredibly forgiving. When I'd come up on rocks or see a rock coming, I'd sort of clinch up and brace for it, and the tire would just gobble it up. It would pound right through it, and that can be really brutal on an 80 sometimes, where you actually feel rocks just slamming through the tire and hitting your rim. And so I was pleasantly surprised at how plush the fat tire was. And if I'm being honest, I will never again not run a 90 up front or a fat tire on my trail bikes. I will just never not use a 90 again. And as for the grip, I really couldn't believe how sticky these were. I just kept thinking about how cheap the tires were and that there was no way they were going to work well. But I could arc through turns and corners. The tire didn't push when you went through big rock patches. It pretty much stuck like glue everywhere I put it. And then the last reason I chose these tires in the first place was they were really cohesive with the bike's price point too. Value priced bike, value price tire. Pretty much all the mods I've made for the 300 are that way. Now that keeps things fun and affordable and really brings a lot of extra value to your investment. Now mounting, how was the tire mounting? Mounting was super easy. The carcass of these tires are not overly stiff, and it was even easy to manipulate the edges of these tires over the rims when it was cold outside. It was by no means warm. I usually like to get the tires hot by throwing them out in the driveway in the sun first, but that just wasn't an option the day I installed them. Not a problem at all. And the fact that the front tire is a fat tire and the rear tire is a 120, therefore being extra rubber, it also helps you manipulate the tires over the edge of the rim with your tire iron or whatever it is you're using. So install was really simple, not a problem at all. Talking about wear, I went on a 4-hour ride and this was all that happened to the tires. They were almost unscathed. Now I mentioned before, when you get a budget tire, you expect them not to work very well and you expect them to wear really quickly. Well, this was a budget tire that not only worked well, but it also didn't wear out. Usually that means the rubber's a little bit harder and therefore not as sticky, but I had no problems at all with the set of tires. Now, are they a set of Dunlop MX 33s? No, they're not, but they also cost half as much. And so I also think because the SSR has a very mellow power output, aka it is not a tire thrashing beast, that these tires will end up lasting longer on this particular machine anyways, just because it is so mild-mannered. And again, that's another plus. If your tire isn't spinning, that probably just means you're hooking up. So the takeaway of all this, in closing, if you guys are ready for a set of tires that won't break the bank, then you definitely have to give these a shot. And for me, from here on out, especially on my SR300, these will be the tire I run on it exclusively. It is an absolute no-brainer. They're cheap, they worked awesome, they look really good, and they hardly wore at all on a 4-hour ride, most of which was really rocky. And so while short, but hopefully sweet, I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, you can check these tires out on mXrevival.com. It really helps out the channel a lot, and I appreciate your support tremendously. Also, if you guys need to, go ahead and ask any questions below that I may not have answered. I'd be happy to help you. And no matter what bike you guys are riding, shred safe, and I will talk to you very soon.